I want people to know that the reason we're out here today, the reason we're hurting, the reason we know we need to make some changes to make our community better, and I don't want it lost. I don't want it lost. It's because this young man right here.
There you go.
It's not about.
That's the beat, Mike Brown. We love you, Mike.
It's not about personal egos.
We love you, Mike.
It's not about. It's about right. It's about the justice for everyone, and we need to make sure that everyone feels that way. But I don't want anybody out here to forget that this is why we're here. We're not going to always agree. We're not going to always agree, but I can tell you that if our intent is to make things better and ensure that our kids know that they're going to grow up in a better place and that their voice means something, no matter what your race is, no matter what your age is, so let's not forget this.
The shooting of an 18-year-old black man at the hands of police in a small Missouri city has now gone global. Protests are being held in major cities. There are some calling for the United Nations to get involved. The new Black Panthers are in the mix, and even the French government has warned their citizens to stay away from Ferguson. The tragedy of a dead man has become secondary in some conversations. It is now turned into a rage against law enforcement, with some calling it a point of discussion in what they term the militarization of local police departments. And that's where we begin this episode of The Arena. Welcome into MidPoint, former New York City Police Department detective and one of the most highly decorated detectives in that city's history, Beau Dietl, and the man who calls himself the News Ninja, syndicated radio talker and conservative activist Wayne Dupree. Beau and Wayne, thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Beau, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. First of all, that discussion about the militarization of police. That seems to be the narrative that we're hearing right now. People pointing to the fact that there are flak jackets, that there are weapons being used that were once used by the military. They're talking about armored vehicles on the ground. Why does a police department need this? I put that question to you.
Well, it's very simple. When you have a riot situation like what was going on, when people are throwing Molotov cocktails, throwing projectiles at the police officers, what they wear is they wear helmets, they wear protection on their face, they have bulletproof vests. You don't know what you're going against. You've got people that are looting, you've got people that are torching buildings. It's a tumultuous situation. You have to quell it before it gets worse. Look what happened with Rodney King. We had 60 innocent people killed during Rodney King. I was during the blackout of 1977 in New York. We had people killed in New York. When you let this thing go so far, now let's face it, more information is coming out as we're speaking right now that this young man was involved with a robbery, a stick-up robbery. You see the size of this young man. He committed a robbery. There was supposedly a shot was fired in the police car. This thing's starting to get its own life now. There's more to this story than meets the eye. Now, with that said, you have the people who are out on the streets. What is the reason by burning your stores down, taking other people's property and rioting? If you have something to say, there's due process of law. That's what America's about. We can't let people take to the streets and do what the hell they want to do. And I'm really upset about this. And when you got a president of the United States that jumps out before he knows any of the facts and starts a bipartisan thing like this, what we have to do is find the facts out. The people of that city have to stay back and they have to understand due process will take effect. And if that cop did something wrong, he will be prosecuted. But by burning buildings and stealing other people's properties, that is garbage and it's nonsense. And those officers, what are they supposed to have, tutus on? You got people throwing Molotov cocktails, things at those cops. So we should let one of the cops lose his eye? Or how about the military vehicle there? When something happens, you're supposed to put a police car in there so they could smash the windshield, set it on fire. That military vehicle's there to show a sign of force. When I used to bring a shotgun out when I was a homicide detective and a guy had a gun on him, he would say, I got my hands up, I have a gun on me, please don't shoot me. That's a deterrent when you're dressed the way they are. So that's the way it's all about.
Wayne, let me turn it to you next. We heard the words due process in here. Isn't it fair to say that people still need to allow due process to happen, investigations to happen? But let me add to that also, that are we still at a point where people don't trust that due process? Specifically, the African-American community doesn't trust it.
Look, you know, when I look at this, I look at these armchair detectives that think that they know all the facts.
No, I'm not an armchair detective. I've affected the arrest of several thousand people.
Hang on
Don't
one
be
second.
running that armchair.
Hang on one sec, Beau. I don't think he's pointing to you. I don't think he's pointing to you.
I'm not an
armchair
armchair detective.
I understand that completely, but I don't think he's referring to you. Wayne, go ahead. You're not referring to Beau Dietl, are you?
You know what? Thank you so much. I was not talking about the gentleman on the other side. I'm talking about everybody else in America that has decided that they know the facts before even the facts come out. They have decided that they're going to piecemeal information.
Wayne, I think we might have lost you in there. Beau, I think what he's trying to get to is the other people who are involved here, and certainly not law enforcement in this case, but there are an awful lot. Oh, wait a minute, he's back. Okay, Wayne, please, we lost you for a second. Go ahead. Go ahead, Wayne.
Okay, yeah, I want to know where the witnesses are.
You want to know where what? I'm sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I want to know where the witnesses are. Are the witnesses in a witness protection program? I mean, you have all these people that have come up with these facts that nobody knows anything about, and then you have Alice Sharpton, you have the Pink Panther Party rolling in there, you have even President Do Nothing coming on the TV yesterday telling, well, you know, we need to hold back some stuff. These people are looting. These people are in tribute, okay, in tribute to the person that got shot. And remember now, the mom said, you are doing this. You're doing this, and my son wouldn't have wanted this. All they needed was a reason to loot. And they're doing this, and they're acting unseemly. Honestly, I have called them monkeys. I've called them hooligans because that's what they look like on TV. They're giving that community, they're giving that town a bad name and putting out these facts. Who knows anything? That's why I call them armchair detectives.
Okay, I think we just wanted to clear that up again because I know exactly what Wayne is talking about, Beau, because we're seeing an awful lot of these people out here who claim they know exactly what happened, they know the evidence.
I agree with
Wayne. They know
Wayne.
Everything.
I agree with Wayne on that. And honestly, when I looked at the video prior to coming to the show, there's a video out there with an armed, forced robbery by this young man who happens to be a tremendous sized man, where he's robbing a smaller gentleman there in a convenience store, wherever it was. And there's more information that's coming out now about a shot being fired in the radio car. And you know what? Let the evidence come out. But you can't let me sit here and understand by looting, robbing other people's properties, and starting a riot that helps this. This is not crazy land. This is America and due process. We have a black president, we have a black attorney general, and they will find the evidence, and if that cop did something wrong, I'm sure he will be prosecuted.
All right, couple minutes I got left here. Hey, Wayne, hold on one second here, because to Beau's point a little bit, and to yours, I want you to hear a soundbite from a gentleman here by the name of, well, let's just call him the Reverend here, because I want you both to hear and then comment after we hear his soundbite.
To become violent in Michael Brown's name is to betray the gentle giant that he was. Don't be so angry. Don't be so angry that you distort the image of who his mother and father told us he was.
Wayne, I've only got 2 minutes left. Let me start with you. I've talked to a lot of African Americans who, quite frankly, are insulted every time a guy like Reverend Al Sharpton shows up, because they say he comes into town, he uses it, and he just leaves again.
Look, he's a race hustler. He's a poverty pimp. That's just his job, okay? And basically what he's doing right there, he might be saying that, but there's a voter registration truck somewhere around there for the 2014-2016 election that his handlers or his overseers in the Democratic Party want him to go in there and make sure that they have some voters. But when you have somebody that's that toxic, you do not allow them in that city, in that town. This is a local thing. This is not a national thing. Obama didn't need to open up his mouth. If he wants to open up his mouth on something, Benghazi, Fast and Furious, ISIS, let him talk about that.
Beau, 30 seconds left here. Is it your opinion as well that people are using this politically more than anything else?
I go back with the Reverend Al to the 1980s when he was an informant for us, the New York City Police Department. I used to call him a fat rat. Now he's a skinny rat. Let me explain something about Al Sharpton. He's a race baiter, and that's all he is. And he's there without any facts in front of them. It's a tragedy. No one wants to see a young man die. But let's wait. We don't need an Al Sharpton to stir up people on the streets. Damn it, this angers me so much. This punk goes out there and stirs things up. What he should be doing is paying back Tawana Broyley case where he accused a prosecutor and he owes money there. He owes $5 million to the federal government. Why aren't you collecting your money, government?
I think we have just about put a cap on all we have here. We're out of time, gentlemen, but I have to tell you, we need to come back and do this again because unfortunately this issue is not going to go away. Ferguson is going to live for a long time. We're going to learn a lot here in the next few days and few weeks. I would love to have you both back on again and talk about it soon. So I appreciate your comments. All right, Beau, keep New York City safe as well. Wayne, thank you very much. Later on this hour, have we failed to learn a really simple lesson from one historic three-day event 45 years ago? And after the break, Cityscape takes us to Baltimore, Maryland, where they are taking matters into hand with a controversial curfew. That and a whole lot more coming up right here on MidPoint.